You know the way people say, oh, that got weird, and it kind of didn't? Well, this one kind of gets weird and kind of doesn't at the same time, but then it gets weirder for a whole other reason. Now, we're going straight down to Alabama with this one, because I straight up, same as Judge Middleton, thought that this guy was dating his own sister, and basically his cousin, I think, is fighting him for the love of his sister. I think. I'm not 100% sure. All I know is the whole way through this, all I could hear was banjos in the background. Oh, lads, this gets really bad. Thanks for that, by the way. That has come in handy. So anyway, this guy gets in trouble for a whole heap of stuff, and he resists against a whole load of cops. Anyway, that's part of it's irrelevant. It's the background information that's both relevant, kind of weird, and then gets another totally different guy in court in trouble. So basically, these two guys are fighting for the love of a cousin sister, allegedly, probably. I don't know. It's kind of hard to decipher. And the guy who's not currently in custody, well, actually, he kind of is currently in custody, but the guy who isn't in custody in this video ends up in custody because the judge calls him up and arrests him and sends him in. And he just tries to blob his way out of it. It's absolutely brilliant. Anyway, folks, grab yourself your favorite cold drink in a jar, put some straw in your mouth, and throw your cousin on your lap, because this is about to get weird and creepy. Kind of. I think it's... You tell me.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your patience. We've been in here working on some other stuff. Are you Christopher Allen Young?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Young, you have 4 cases scheduled for this afternoon. Your lawyer, Luke Knopfinger, is here. Also, prosecuting attorney David Marvin. Their attempt is to get all 4 of these cases bound over to circuit court and try to resolve everything in what we refer to as a global resolution. That means take care of all the cases at once. File number 23889 alleges that you did assault Matthew Treestrom with a jackhandle, but without intending to inflict great bodily harm. That's called felonious assault. It's punishable by up to 4 years in prison and a fine of up to $2,000. It is alleged that on or about May 1st, you maliciously or injured a car that belonged to Jamie Pierce. That's worth more than $1,000 but less than $20,000. That's a 5-year felony. And then they allege that you assaulted Andrew Chupp and Matthew Treestrom with a car, known as felonious assault, a 4-year felony. And file number 231473, which is alleged that just this month in August that you did resist or obstruct Steve Dibble, Matt Kilburn, Eric Piper, and all from Three Rivers, and for good measure, Matt Mellinger from the Sheriff's Department and Jason Sylvester from the Michigan State Police. I don't know if I've ever had a case where someone resisted, obstructed Trooper Sylvester, but he's a big guy and he's got a real good disposition. Anyway, 5 counts of resisting or obstructing a police officer. And then the last one, file 231274, it's alleged that you did receive or conceal a stolen Chevy Silverado that belonged to Michael Gifford, and that you lied to a police officer. The RNC has a 5-year, lying to a police officer is a 2-year high court misdemeanor. You do have a right to a preliminary examination in all of these matters, and I think we got a whole bunch of witnesses here. I saw a bunch of cop cars outside, and I saw Trooper Sylvester and Officer Dibble and some other guys coming in at the end of lunch. You also have a right to waive the preliminary examination in these matters and have the matter bound over to circuit court, where they can all be negotiated as part of a total global plea. So let me read you this. I think who shared this with you, but let's do it on the record. I, Christopher Young, understand I have a right to employ an attorney. I may request a court-appointed attorney if I'm financially unable to employ one. I have a right to a preliminary examination where it must be shown that a crime was committed and probable cause exists to charge me with the crime. I voluntarily waive my right to a preliminary examination. Understand that I will be bound over to the circuit court on the charges in the complaint and warrant. Is that what you wish to do on each and every one of these cases?
Yes.
All right. And you've signed those.
Right.
Now, once I sign these, I lose jurisdiction, but I haven't signed anything yet. Mr. Knopfsinger wants to discuss bond here.
Yes, Judge, thank you.
Thank you.
Court takes a look at, and I assume, well, the court is always well prepared, so I assume the court has looked at Mr. Young's criminal history, which is pretty scant, coming up until the earlier part of this year. Something just fell off there. And now we have these 4 felony cases. We do in fact have a global resolution. And so we're waiving over with that to preserve that plea offer. Part of that plea offer too is compliance with all the terms of bond, including no contact with any and all of the complainants and the victims in the cases. And then also no other criminal activity and appearing in all further court hearings. The court considers the bonds what they are set at here, and the court has to take into consideration the severity of the charge, the public safety, and then also the defendant's record of appearance. Mr. Young very clearly says to me he did miss a hearing because he knew that he had a warrant. He realizes now, and he wants to take advantage of the plea offer that he wants to, that he would comply with the terms of bond. I know that some of the bond fee, 20,000, pretty substantial bonds. He does have strong ties to the community. He'd be living there at on River Drive. I'm not going to say the street address exactly. There in Three Rivers with a friend. He does have several children that he had contact with before his incarceration in Jackson. He was employed up until being incarcerated. He's been incarcerated now for several weeks. And I haven't scored his guidelines. I don't know what they are, but I think he's going to be on the light side in terms of PRVs, given his criminal history. He's a relatively young man. And so for those reasons, Judge, I'd ask the court to reconsider the bond, given the client is asking for a PR bond, Judge. But I ask the courts to take all that into consideration.
All right. Mr. Marvin, do you have any position on this?
I would not agree with the PR bond. There are signs that something did go awry. I think if I were to guess, I would say it was introduction of drugs and introduction of whatever company he was keeping. Because it's true that he went from 0 to, I think somebody said 900 miles an hour in a matter of weeks. And he racked all this up. But this was out of control. And 3 of these cases, we have felony assaults. And again, it could be the people he's running with, but it just was out of control. And I think a PR bond is too generous for a person with this many charges and this serious of an offense or offenses. I don't have a problem if it's relaxed a bit, but there's got to be some kind of something more than a PR.
All right. One of the complainants, Matthew Treestrom, has an open warrant for assaulting Taylor Young. So I think part of the issue is you have 2 men seeing the same woman. And that led to some of this conduct.
Judge, I think that's his sister.
His sister, all right. Then I'm not sure what this is about, but he certainly did go from 0 to 900. he was on bond on some of these when he committed the others. And what causes me the most concern is this fighting with all the on-duty police officers at the same time.
Your Honor, to be clear, that was hiding away in an attic of an apartment. It was about a 45-minute standoff that included chemicals to try to drive them out.
All right, well,
So,
at the River Drive Apartments?
Yeah.
So they nuked, wasn't there?
Riverside.
Riverside, yeah.
Riverside Townhouses?
Yes,
Whose apartment was it?
Amanda's.
Amanda.
I don't know her last name.
So they nuked the whole building so on
Just the attic.
April 8th, you allegedly assaulted Mr. Treestrom with a tire iron. You got arrested on June 18th. You posted bond on June 22nd. Then you failed to appear for your pre-exam conference. So you're AWOL on that bond. Then you had the malicious destruction and 2 counts of assault, May 1st. And you got arrested on August 7th when they arrested you for failing to appear on the other case. On July 5th was the RNC stolen vehicle. You were on bond AWOL at the time that occurred. And then when they did finally arrest you on August 5th, you hid in the attic. Bond in the assault was originally $2,000, raised to $20,000 cash or surety when you failed to appear. Bond in the automobile assault and the malicious destruction is $20,000. Bond in the receiving, concealing, and lying to a police officer is $20,000 cash or surety. And in the R&O charges, it's $7,500 cash or surety. The motion's denied. This is a case of pay me now or pay me later. There's going to be a global plea offer. You were charged with a crime, posted a bond, failed to appear, committed 3 more crimes, 2 of which were assaultive, hid from the police, and you'll get credit for all the time you're serving, but I don't see the sense of letting you out just to go back into court, into jail. And you failed to appear and you committed other crimes while on bond, including assaultive offenses. So you can bring the matter up again in front of Judge Stutzman, but the motion in all cases to reduce bond is denied, and you can address it in circuit court. My advice is get this case moving faster rather than slower and get to a resolution. All right, you're free to go.
That's what I'm gonna do.
All right.
So, let's go, please.
All right, Jeremy, don't go away. Matthew Thomas Treestrom has an open warrant for his arrest for assault and battery upon Taylor Young. It's alleged that on or about that date, you were in the city of Three Rivers, and the callers indicated you were punching her, throwing her down on the ground. The neighbors called the police. I don't want both of them back in the lockup at the same time. I want you to take him before you take him. You're going to be arrested for assaulting Taylor Young on June 27th. Who is Taylor Young to you?
I did Taylor for a while, but I did not assault her.
All right, well, that's the
they-
allegation, so.
Right, the day before she was.
All right, don't say any more about it. I don't want you to jeopardize your rights, but, I guess several neighbors called in. Some tweakers fighting might be killing a female. Oh, boy. Anyway, it's an assault charge. And, you're gonna get arrested, lodged, booked, fingerprinted, then you can post a bond, and then we'll see where we go from there. But it's an open warrant. I'm not gonna just do a court arraignment on a domestic assault. So as soon as they get him out of there, they'll take you over to jail.
All right. I'm not worried about the whole rights thing. It was the day before was Miss Taylor had called me.
All right,
because
well,
she-
I don't, again, I appreciate that, but I don't want you to get sideways and say something maybe your attorney wouldn't want you to.
I'm not, I'm very sure of it.
All right.
But she was held up by Mr. Cook, Brandon Cook with a gun. And then we had talked to the cops that night about, her being assaulted by him.
All right.
She in turn was trying to pin, her being hands put on by him on me.
All right, well, we'll sort it out. I didn't issue the warrant, the prosecutor
Yes, sir.
did. But we'll see where this goes. Let's make a record on Marie Henninger, Luke. I think I'm just about gonna make sobriety court at 2:30.
You know how I know that all their family are bakers? Because they're inbred. That was a bit of a cheap shot, considering that I don't think the guy was dating his own sister. I think I'm not 100% sure. Let me know down below what you think. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I thought it was a bit of crack. If you liked it, make sure and hit that like button. We're roaring towards 50,000 subscribers now. So when we get there, we're going to have a feckin' party. We'll catch you then, folks. Sláinte.